Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Konrad Gorlinski, and this is the news. Well, it's been a very busy day in Warsaw today. It was the second day of U.S. President Joe Biden's visit to Poland. This afternoon, he made an official visit to the presidential palace in Warsaw. Joe Biden stated that Poland is taking a significant responsibility in the humanitarian crisis caused by the war in Ukraine, adding that other NATO countries should help lessen the burden.
We do acknowledge that Poland is taking on a significant responsibility that I don't think should just be Poland's, it should be the whole world, all of NATO's responsibility. The fact that you have so many Ukrainians seeking refuge in this country of Poland. We understand that because we have in our southern border thousands of people a day, literally, not figuratively, trying to get into the United States. But we believe that we, the United States, should do our part relative to Ukraine as well by opening our borders to another 100,000 people.
Biden also told his Polish counterpart, Andrzej Duda, he viewed NATO's Article 5 guarantee of mutual defense between member states as a sacred commitment.
The United States and my colleagues on this side of the table have heard me say it many, many times. We take Article 5 as a sacred commitment, not a throwaway, a sacred commitment that relates to every member of NATO. One of the things that I thanked the president for downstairs was the fact that the single most important criteria in this time of a changing world, so much is changing, not just here, but in other parts of the world, is that NATO stay absolutely, completely, thoroughly united.
Duda thanked Biden for supporting Poland and deploying troops, saying Poles knew the meaning of Russian imperialism and attacks by its military. This Russian aggression and this great tragedy for the Ukrainian people, which we are all experiencing with them, my compatriots, Poles have a great feeling of danger because we know what Russian imperialism and an attack by the Russian army means, because our grandparents and great-grandparents, sometimes our parents, survived it. The U.S. president also visited the National Stadium in Warsaw, where a reception center has been set up for refugees fleeing the conflict in Ukraine. He took the time to speak with some of the people there.
I don't speak Ukrainian, but tell her I want to take her home.
After his meeting today with U.S. President Joe Biden in Warsaw, Polish President Andrzej Duda announced that he had asked about the possibility of speeding up Poland's military purchases. Duda was referring to purchases of Patriot missile systems, high-mobility artillery rocket systems, HIMARS, F-35 aircraft, and Abrams tanks.
Zwracałem się do pana prezydenta także o przyspieszenie.
We reminded the president about the possible acceleration of those programs of purchases which have been made. I repeat that we'll receive the first Patriot anti-missile systems within this year. We'll soon receive HIMARS artillery systems. We'll receive F-35 aircraft, the newest generation of fighter jets. And the last purchase finalized from the side of the United States is 250 Abrams tanks, also the new generation. So these are very extensive purchases.
250 czołgów Abrams.
Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, who met Joe Biden during a tour of a refugee reception center, said Poland was talking to various leaders about help for Poland to meet the needs of Ukrainian refugees who have fled, including relocating those who wish to leave Poland. Possibly there will be a further wave of refugees, and that's why we're talking to different leaders. Today, of course, with President Joe Biden about the ways he can also help the Poles to help other people. The United States has declared it would take 100,000 people. It's necessary to say that we're not talking about forced relocations. Simply, if someone wishes to stay, they can stay. If someone wishes to travel on further, they can. There are also those who go back to Ukraine, such as men who go back to fight for their country. And so this process will also rely on the U.S. authorities, on their decision about who they will take.
kogo będą chcieli do siebie przyjąć.
More than 2 million people have fled Russia's invasion of Ukraine to Poland, out of the roughly 3.8 million who have left Ukraine altogether. Earlier this week, Belarusian opposition leader Svetlana Tikhanovskaya visited the president of Poland at the presidential palace. Yesterday, she marked her country's unofficial Freedom Day near the Polish-Belarusian border.
Hundreds of Belarusians joined her, carrying white and red flags and chanting, "Long live Belarus." Freedom Day is the anniversary of Belarus' 1918 declaration of what was short-lived independence from Russia. Some of those that joined the celebrations had been exiled to Poland in 2020 after the contested elections in which Tikhanovskaya had challenged longtime leader Alexander Lukashenko. At the protest, she laid flowers at a memorial of the Białystok prison in which the author of the Belarus Democratic Republic's national anthem died after the Soviet invasion of Poland in 1939. Not a single Belarusian wants this war. We know that Ukrainians are our brothers and sisters, and there are, in contrast to Russia, no anti-Ukrainian sentiments among Belarusians. Yauhin, a political refugee from Belarus who joined the celebrations, said that to call for protests in Belarus against Russia's war would be like calling for an uprising in a concentration camp. The Freedom Day is the correct national holiday of Belarus, which we celebrate due to the circumstances in exile. This holiday shows that although the Belarusian people went for many years through so many obstacles, they have the idea of their own state. We hope that Belarus will be red and white, a free country of which one can be proud. Lukashenko has fallen in line behind Russian President Vladimir Putin's military assault on Ukraine after earlier playing an intermediary role between the two neighbors. Video clips from the Kastus Kalinowski battalion published on Friday showed men in military uniforms taking an oath in Belarusian to defend the Belarus Democratic Republic. On the battalion's Telegram channel, it also declared it had officially joined the Ukrainian armed forces on Friday. In a tweet on March 13th, Tikhanovskaya supported the creation of the Kastus Kalinowski battalion, which was formed at the beginning of Russia's war against Ukraine as a volunteer battalion.
During the opening ceremony of the DoHA Forum, a meeting of oil-producing nations in Qatar, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called on energy-producing countries to increase output in order to, as he put it, prevent Russia from being able to use its energy resources as blackmail. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky delivered his speech to the DoHA Forum via video link from Kiev. I appeal all countries to join it. Russia should seek peace. They must stop the war against Ukraine. Russia must stop any intentions to break global stability and old habits of those who looked for colonies and planted inequality. This is the question of time when European countries will stop buying Russian oil and gas. Responsible countries such as Qatar are reliable and solidary partners in the supply of energy resources. They can make their input to stabilize the situation in Europe. They can do a lot to reinstate justice. The future of Europe depends on your efforts. I ask you to increase your production of energy resources. Russia needs to understand that no country should use energy resources as weapons or as a blackmail of the world and all people on the planet. Let there be peace. Glory to Ukraine. Oil-producing nations have been experiencing record profits in the last months, so it remains to be seen how much production they will increase. And finally, earlier today, a trio of entertainers dressed as Spider-Man, Batman, and a pink rabbit brought joy to Ukrainian children hiding in a metro station in Kharkiv.
Children played with the superheroes, laughing as they danced and threw toys at each other. We are just three guys, a trio of guys who are daring, healthy, and jolly, and we decided to help our children with whatever we can do. We can bring joy and smiles, and with that, we can help. We are not leaving our kids. The kids are happy. They had a chance to unwind a little. They were getting just crazy with boredom. The metro station visited by the trio of superheroes has become a shelter, with families sleeping in tents on the platforms. Here is the place where my husband sleeps. I sleep on the other side, and the children sleep in the middle. Sitting on a bench in the metro station, 12-year-old Katya struggles to hold back her tears. What do you miss the most? I'm missing school. I miss my classmates most of all.
As usual, thanks for joining us this evening. Please stay with us for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business, and other programs. But from me, it's have a great Saturday night.